Hello! Welcome to the live stream. I asked on the forums if this topic was self-indulgent, and other people said it would be interesting, which I used it as justification for doing it. Soon, I think we'll be back to more relevant to you topics, but we're going to do a plan with me today for 2022 in my Hobonichi Cousin planner. And we're also going to open up my budget, which I do my budgeting in YNAB, but actually we're going to be looking at the annual budget, which I do in Excel. So I will be screen sharing that. Hopefully it will work. We will find out. How is everybody doing today? How is it going? We have so many things over here to do this stream. There's like a lot of stuff to dig in. The thing that is like the big question mark for me with my budget in 2022, as is true for a lot of people, is, you know, whether or not we're going to be allowed to travel. Is life going to be whatever normal was pre-COVID? I don't really know. And I have quite a few trips that are planned, all of which or some of which could end up canceled. But I have budgeted them out. One of them is my Guinness World Records attempt that I am hoping to do, which is a trip to try to go to every EU capital city by scheduled surface transportation, the fastest, which is 27 EU countries. And then there's like 3 other countries thrown in there that are not EU that I need to go through on my way to going to different EU countries. So that one I have done. I have been doing the research on all of the trains and buses and ferries that I think I need to do and price them out, and then which nights I'm not actually going to be sleeping on a train. So we can take a look at that. If it is interesting to people, it will be coming up because it is one of my big, hopefully, goals for 2022, although I am accepting that it may have to move to 2023, really based on what you know, Omicron / its future variant friends look like. Hello, welcome. Craig is in Texarkana, Arkansas. Oh, I love it when there's the in-between names for the different, like when they're right on the border. That sounds exciting. It's probably much better weather right now down there, although I don't know, maybe tornadoes. But probably better weather than up here. It's like the most depressing weather where it isn't really snowing, but it's just above freezing and pouring rain. Dean says, really based on waves and everything. Yeah, I mean, that's how I feel too. As I mentioned in the thumbnail of this this live stream, as well as in the description, I just turned in my notice at my job this week, at my day job that I've been at for 2 years, which has been a absolute blessing to have this day job during the pandemic. But I accepted a position doing financial work with a really small investment firm, but it's a new line of business for me. I'm going to be working with a small firm. I still have to take some of my licensing exams, and because of that, I will have really unstable and variable income for probably the first like 6 months of the year, because I'll technically be, I'll be 1099 under the investment firm, so I'll be technically self-employed. So a lot of the things that have been a lot easier to do with having a full-time day job and then for part of that time and also a W-2 job will really be in the realm of kind of being back to how I used to be, which is that variable income. I will be making probably a lot more money than I am at my day job right now in a year or so, but it will be a slow ramp up as we, you know, build up the new line of business in the firm I'm going to be working at. So, yeah, I'm really excited about the new role. I still have studying to do, so that's a whole thing. And I'm really sad to be leaving my day job, but as many people know, my day job is doing transit data, so essentially putting bus schedules and train schedules into Google Maps and Apple Maps in the GTFS format. I work with a great team. It's a really good mission, but the actual like day-to-day of my work is extremely dull. Advantages of that is that it's pretty easy to do other things like listen to podcasts when I'm doing the work. I don't do a lot of like writing or creative work, and because of that, it's kind of brainless. And I work with a good crew of people doing something good for the world. They pay me money. It's a very good leave at job work. But and that has been like amazing during the pandemic, but I am ready for a new challenge, and I am essentially moving into a totally new role in a new industry. Like, I've been teaching financial workshops now for 8 years, and I've been doing a financial radio show for 5 years. I've been doing tax prep volunteering for even longer than that, but the actual role that I'm going to be doing is working with retirement accounts, working with small businesses to set up retirement plans for their employees, doing fiduciary and 401k training, and that actual work is going to be new to me, so it'll be interesting. So, thank you for all the congratulations. Yeah, I'm really excited, although I am totally nervous. Like, maybe it is a terrible idea. We'll find out. It's always scary to leave something that's like unknown for an unknown. My current job it's just been very good to me, but it's not very thrilling. So it's hard to kind of leave that behind because it feels like I'm taking a huge risk. But as you'll see with my finances, realistically, I'm not taking a huge risk. I have about 2 years of my usual cash expenses, just in cash buffer. So, not saying that the unknown hasn't happened in the world, but I'm not taking a really fanatically huge risk. My big unknown is health insurance, and I am able to enroll on Aaron's insurance through his job, and because of that, this is like a privilege that I haven't really had before, and because of that, I'm kind of feel like it's time to like milk it and do something while we have that available, because I hope that we end up replacing the really broken system of American healthcare that we have at some point before I'm dead. And that means that, while we have this benefit as far as like having a corporate employer for one of us that has health insurance, and that it seems like it's going to be decent health insurance for me. So, if you're not a regular viewer, you may not know, I'm on a drug that is now over $10,000 a month. And because of that, my health insurance choices really are like, there's a lot of thought and process that has to go into them beyond even the normal level that is pretty exhausting for the average American as far as choosing health insurance, but it gets a lot more complicated for me. So one of the reasons that I stayed at this job through the end of the year is because I had already hit my out-of-pocket maximum on my health insurance. So it made the most sense to stay at my day job through the end of the plan year on my health insurance, which is like not the kind of thing I feel like you should have to think about or know about. But yeah, how are folks doing other than being in Texarkana? Are people feeling excited for 2022, or are we just like tired of having possibly the third New Year's in a row where we get optimistic and then our hopes get dashed? Because I feel like that's roughly, I feel like the past week there's been such a onslaught of news about the Omicron variant and things getting really dire in Europe right now that I'm really struggling with the like yeah, I'm really struggling with the like a lot of the optimism that I had even just like a week ago has already been dashed. I was supposed to go to Denmark in like a week and a half. A week? Oh, like just a little over a week. I was supposed to go to Denmark. And we ended up canceling that trip because Denmark is I think doing the worst of any country right now as far as Omicron variant. It's spreading really quickly. They're shutting things down. And, you know, we really pushed it off. This trip was actually a trip that we originally were supposed to go in September and then got pushed back it got pushed back a whole 3 months because our flight changed by like pushed days out. And because of that, we moved it, thought we'd go for New Year's Eve. And yeah, nothing in Denmark is going to be open. So yeah, Dean said 2020 year 3, you mean? Yes, correct. That's how it feels. It feels like we've all been in kind of this weird suspended dark animation for the past 2 years. And so it really feels like, are we gonna get the chance to do the things differently than we wanted to the past 2 years? It's also like I guess the thing for me is that I'm really struggling with tempering my own feelings about this, because I actually have been extremely even-keeled essentially since I got my vaccination. I've just been sort of like, okay, we're just waiting for the whole world to be able to have the opportunity to get vaccines. And to me, it really felt like, you know, maybe we were a year out at the time I got vaccinated, which was April of 2021. I kind of felt maybe in a year we'll really be back to like almost normal. I was considering going to graduate school in August in London this year, and I decided not to because Delta started popping off in January in London. And I guess I feel like a lot of the choices that I'm making around my goals have massive question marks next to them, and it makes it a little hard to plan. But what I'm going to focus on is budgeting for what's within my control. And another thing to like add, I guess, to all of this is that another thing to add to all of this is that I am like budgeting based on the fact that I don't really know what my income is going to be. And then additionally, Aaron is building a house that I'm going to live in, but construction is sort of this massive question mark as well. And because of that, there's like this whole secondary large-scale construction project going on this year, and we don't really know when we're going to move or what it's going to look like or any of that kind of stuff. So the Journaling Brune says, excited for 2022, but the COVID stuff is really frustrating. I'm struggling with optimism too. Now Omicron is all over the States. There's this part of me, maybe this is like the tiny bit of optimism that hasn't died in me, but there's this tiny part of me that is like almost optimistic about Omicron possibly replacing Delta. I don't know if that's really how it works because I'm not a biologist, but like Omicron thus far seems like it has less bad outcomes. But I also realize our earliest data is from South Africa, which has a younger population. So I just don't know. I'm also immunosuppressed. And so I have a trip to Kenya scheduled at the end of January, which you will see in this budgeting, that I'm probably canceling if Delta will refund me. And I don't know. I'm just frustrated and upset about it. But yeah. Christy said, just like 2 weeks ago, I said, I felt like I couldn't make plans for 2021, but I'm ready to make plans for 2022. Upside down face emoji. Upside down face emoji, I feel like is all of us right now. The Journaling Broom said, I had just turned 29 when COVID pandemic started, and in 1 week I'm turning 21. I think that's like what I think the weirdest part about leaving my job is that I am the last employee on my relatively small team, but the last employee that was hired pre-pandemic in my role. And I was only hired I was hired in December of 2019 and I started in January 2020. Therefore, I never really felt like I had this job, not during a pandemic, but I've been at it for 2 years, which is sort of, I don't know, it's a weird, yeah. Fuzzbubble says the different variants do compete with one another and one can drive another out. Yeah, and I also realize that like we have very limited data about whether or not actually Omicron is less severe because hospitalizations lag behind infections. We definitely know it's more infectious. Yeah, I mean, once again, I'm just really tired of like having to be an amateur freaking epidemiologist. As Craig said, I am ready to get back to biggest concern being who takes the kids to voice lessons and student council meetings. Yeah, I feel that. I feel that. Emily says, I just want so badly to be able to host a party and not feel nervous. Yeah, Emily, you bought a house in a different city during the pandemic and haven't been able to, like, have a proper housewarming for it. I feel like that, like, so many people's lives have just totally changed. And it makes you wonder when we're going to be able to, man, we really had like 2 months of fun this summer. At least in Portland, where it really felt like, oh, maybe things are over. But yeah. Anna says, I'm going day by day because this is going pretty fast. Yeah. Emily, I'm sorry. I wish you could have a housewarming without it being stressful and scary. Do we want to do planner or budgeting first? Because the planner is pretty. But, there's only so much we're going to be able to fill into next year's planner. And then the budgeting, I think, is interesting because it informs all of this. So which would we like to do first? We'll do one of them, then we'll eat a donut, then we'll do the other, then we'll look at Flu for the Week, and then by then we'll probably be way over the amount of time I said I was going to stream for. Kate says, I'm excited about making some big transitions in 2022, but it feels like the whole world is falling apart. I know. I think that's like the stressful part of all of it, where it's like your life keeps marching on and time keeps marching on, but there's like such existential questions going on. I don't know. Maybe we're getting too philosophical in the stream. Okay, Emily says, I'm super interested in the budgeting process, particularly given the uncertainty. Everyone is voting for budget, so we are going to tune into the budget situation. And I really hope that my computer behaves and I don't accidentally broadcast anything. I don't have any, like, client information on here, so how do I share it? Which button do I use to share it, Aaron? I need tech support. There's so many buttons on the top. I'm up there.
It's the one that has the 2 little pills.
Oh, that's new. Cool. All right. Yeah. I upgraded my OS and now I can't find anything. Fuzzbubble says, I like today's glasses. Well, thank you. I just need, my brakes need an eye from, my eyes needed a break from contacts. And I was like, I know these aren't the best for live stream because they have like way too much reflective area for the lights, but they match this outfit the best. So that's what we're going with. Okay. So, if you don't know, every year I do every year for, gosh, who knows how long, on my personal blog, I do a report of how much I made and spent in different categories. So I do a full spending report every year, and I also set up a budget for the next year about how much I expect to spend. And so then when I do the budget review at the end of the year, I do like an up or down if I ended up spending more or less than I actually budgeted for things. 2020, as you may see, was probably very weird because I made my budget plan at the end of 2019 and then everything went to heck. For 2021, I actually only budgeted January through July because I had a suspicion that I was going to possibly move to London for graduate school in August, and it just didn't make sense to project out. So I just did a January through July budget. So I actually already did my report on how I spent, how I kind of did for that budget. So the actual process of getting into this is usually a lot of informed by how I actually spent things in the past. So, I'll look at what I spent that year. I'll kind of think about, okay, was there anything exceptional? So a great example with this year was that I applied for citizenship. This is my YNAB, by the way, if you don't know. this year. And that was a pretty expensive process. Altogether, I spent $1,500 this year. If you include what I spent last year, I think it goes up to, $2,144. That is mostly, it's between, paying my lawyer, paying for various documents and fees, wire transfer fees to pay to Croatia. But at the end result, I hope to have EU citizenship. So I am still waiting. We did apply for EU citizenship. But this is a great example of something where I'm not going to include this in the future budget because I've already applied. But that being said, we applied in May or June of this year. And I do expect that, I'm hopeful. They said a year to 2 years for us to find out if we got it. I am hopeful that we will hear back this year, and then there will be additional expenses that I will have to pay because I will actually have to pay for my passport. I'll have to pay more records fees to the country of Croatia. I did a little bit of looking it up online, how much it costs to get a passport, to get your Croatian citizenship ID, and I put it into this spreadsheet. And yes, I know we're using a spreadsheet, but the reason we're using a spreadsheet is that's how I make these pretty graphs, okay? The YNAB graphs are not cute enough for me. So this is actually all fed from this sheet. And as you can see, this is actually budgeting out in an annual way over here. And then these are just columns that split them down by 12. So then this all feeds this beautiful, cute little thing. So let's talk about some of the more rare ones. So the rent one, I have been paying $615. Our lease is up in August of this year. I essentially said $615 times 8 because I know it won't go up before the end of our current lease. But I really am hoping, I don't think that the house that we're going to move into is done by the end of August. But I figured I would rather budget above my expected expenses. There's a possibility that I pay no rent at the end of the year. I might end up deciding to pack my stuff up and travel or something like that. But I decided to just up it because I do pay at this point kind of below market rent. Because we split our rent in this apartment kind of proportionally based on income. So my expectation is that whatever I'm going to end up paying for housing will go up. So I only put the last 4 months of the year in there. Okay. Why do you hate me? There we go. This is, should I zoom in more? I should probably zoom in more because I realize that's really tiny on most people's screens. Okay. So whenever it's times 12, that's just because I assume that's for the entire year. My utilities, generally we pay $40 in the summer for electricity because we have a window air conditioner unit, a portable air conditioner unit, and it has been really hot in Portland. / needing to run the air purifier all of the time because Oregon is on fire in the summer. So we usually pay about $40 in the summer and we pay less, often $30. So it averages out to about $35 a month, which we can actually see pretty easily if we go into my YNAB, select none. And then if we go into my electricity, done. This is over. Wait, why? Oh, I still have the wish farm category selected. I was like, I do not pay $1,900 a month for. There we go. So yeah, on average, I've spent $32.28 the past couple years for electricity. So 35 is just sort of putting a nice little buffer on it there. And then 40, these are actually flat rate utilities. The rest of my utilities are trash, and it's through the apartment building. We don't have a choice in what we pay there. So we can't shift our spending, I guess, if that makes sense. So it's $40 a month. It's $7.50 for trash and it is $32.50 for water, gas, garbage. I kind of miss it because they switched to level billing for everybody, and we definitely spent less before because we don't use as much water as maybe some other people in the apartment building do. So kind of a bummer, but household goods, I just put 15 times 12. Realistically, some months we spend like $30 restocking stuff, and some months I spend like $8. That's fairly consistent. Now, groceries. This is the hard one. If we look at my grocery spending, it was incredibly consistent for literally years. And then, guess what happened? So let's go all the way back to 2016. I had a pretty consistent, the big peaks here of spending are usually because, these big peaks are because I bought my CSA share on those months. But averaged out, I have an incredibly consistent amount. If we let go of the CSA share because we ended up finding it to be effective, we let go of the CSA share. On average, I spend $155 per month. That includes coffee for home. Treats is just like a random category I do. And then delivery tips and fees was when we were getting groceries delivered, which I think we did once. But the thing is that you see this upward trend. Groceries have been getting more expensive. The only reason this month is so low is that the month isn't all the way done, and I was gone for a week of the month. When you see these huge dips, it's because, like, for example, I was living in London in August 2019, so it's in a different part of my budget. For September 2017, I was on a trip by train across Dublin, and from Dublin, Ireland to Shanghai, China by train, and because of that, I had these big dips. But this is a really consistent amount. But with the way that groceries have been inflating, I almost wonder if I should make it higher. But the way that I've kind of compensated for that is instead I've broken the coffee budget out in here just so that I can see it. So the reason there's two different numbers in my coffee budget on this one is because one is coffee for home, which I've set at 18 because it's been kind of climbing up, and then 15 is for coffee out. I don't actually get coffee out very often, but I use it as a treat to motivate myself for working out. So like when I run like 8 miles, I'm allowed to get like a fancy coffee drink because otherwise I don't really make myself do it, but it feels more exciting if I go get a fancy coffee drink at my little cute local coffee shop. Bike and transit. The reason this is 20 times 12, that's actually really high for me for bike and transit, but I will no longer have free transit through my job. I haven't really been using the free transit through my job very often, but the one place I do use transit to go to is the skating rink, and I have some explicit skating goals. So that 20 times 12 is really to try to compensate for the fact that like that would be just going to the rink in the suburbs 4 times in a month, which is really not very much. But I do try to go to the other rink that I can bike all the way to, but the other one, transit, makes most sense. And then this 150 here is for a bike tune-up. It's a little high, but I expect to need my drivetrain worked on. Okay, healthcare is the big question mark, but 150 looks to be about how much I'm going to have to pay. I think it's going to be 120 to add me to the health insurance, which is a very good deal. And then additionally, I usually have a couple copays at the beginning of the year. This could be way more variable. So figure skating. This was one of those things that I had to figure out. So this is where like you can build your budgets, your goals into your budget. So I want to start testing my dances in figure skating. So I was a skater that didn't do dance before, but I've decided to switch to dancing, which is ice dancing is more commonly done when you are older and no longer want to do double or triple jumps because they're really hard on your body. And that there is a couple things that I need to pay for. Ice time is obviously one of the really expensive parts of figure skating. Maybe it's not obviously. To me, it's obvious. Ice time is one of the most expensive things. The other thing is skating, coaching. And I am at the level where I have to get essentially private or semi-private coaching. And then additionally, I have to pay an annual fee to be a member of the United States Figure Skating Association through my local club. And you have to pay for testing. However, there is a fund to pay for ice dancing tests. It's all very complicated. I did some work to figure it out, but this is a huge question mark. It could be way higher. It could be way lower. I just really don't know what it is going to be, because my big problem, if you go back into my spending trends, one, I only started skating, like going back to the sport of skating midway through 2021, and or midway through 2019, and then the rinks were shut down for a huge proportion of 2020. So you can kind of see this was, I like went to one thing, and then this is when I really, this month was the month that I really decided I started, which was April of 2019. I decided, no, I'm really going to do it. Before even my 1 year anniversary of deciding I'm going back to skating, which would have been April 2020, the rinks were totally shut down. I had a brief moment where I went out to one of the rinks, like a couple months into the pandemic, and like skated with a mask on. This was for an online coaching program. This wasn't even for on ice. This was like an off ice conditioning program. But yeah, it wasn't really until I got vaccinated, I started going back to the rink. So you can really see what this looks like. It's very hard to know, because I obviously, when I am really skating, spend way more than $59.51 per month. I also have not been spending a ton of money on coaching, but I'm going to need to spend a lot more money on coaching, because ice dancing is one of those things where you even need a coach to test with you and stuff like that, because it's a pairs sport. So this was my guess. And yeah. Christine says, as a figure skater / dancer, do you get body work like massage? As a dancer, I have to budget body work, about $200 a month. So I am currently doing occupational therapy and PT, but I am doing that because I have reached my out-of-pocket maximum. So yeah, no, and I do not get massage because I'm too cheap. But I'm currently doing PT and OT, but it's through my insurance. So yeah, and the OT is technically for my hands, but the thing I asked to be able to do was be able to do push-ups flat on my palms. So I can only do push-ups on my knuckles right now, or with handles. But my occupational therapist essentially said, it's a nice goal, but it probably will never happen for you, just because I don't, I've broken both my wrists. I have RA, and I would have a lot of issues with that kind of weight bearing. But the thing we're actually working on is totally unrelated to my hands, even though I thought it was all going to be wrist related, but it's my mid traps, which was the same thing that I had a problem with when I was a teenager and was in physical therapy. So maybe the sport's just really bad for your mid traps. Yeah. Looking good. This is a category for makeup and skincare, and haircuts. So this is based on the idea of getting 2 fancy haircuts a year, and then cheaper haircuts from the beauty school where it takes like twice as long, in between. And then, this is, I think, this is for restocking skincare, I believe, is what the original idea was there. And this is a pretty consistent category. I really appreciate being able to pay smart, good people money to do my hair. I used to cut my own hair. I had to do cutting my own hair during the pandemic. And before that, I did it when I was like a crust punk. And I just love having someone who knows what the heck they're doing do it. Okay, fitness. This is one of those categories that's been really high historically in the past, but because I am figure skating right now, I don't have a gym membership. It honestly just I don't want to pay a local gym when they could get shut down. Prior to the pandemic, I actually had access to a gym in the building of my job, which is obviously hasn't been open since March 2020. I just don't have a lot of faith in kind of gyms being open. The thing I do like to do is pay for drop-in dance classes and stuff, but I'm just gonna expect that this is, and then the other kind of random thing I end up doing is sometimes I pay to enter like a half marathon or something in order to motivate myself to run outside. So it's very likely I'll do that if the rinks do have to shut down again, or for some reason I can't go to the rink again, because I don't particularly love running, but it is a very cheap form of cardio and I need goals. So I usually will register for a half marathon because I hate wasting money. So then restaurants, I really don't spend very much on restaurants, as you can probably see. Let's see what the average is here. I'm like including 2019 in these averages so that it's like a little more real world. Because I feel like maybe 2022 is going to be a mix of 2019 and 2020 at the rate we're currently going. So this is my extra food and drink category, which includes coffee out and restaurants. So my average spending is $20 a month. You can see one of my big bumps up is when I buy myself fancy tea. Yeah, what was this $65? Oh, I just had a very... Oh, it was during Pedalpalooza. Pedalpalooza really drives the costs up for me, so you always see a spike in that. But if we zoom out, this has really changed over time because if we go back to like 2015, you can see like how much this has dropped. Like I had this one month where I was out on Cycle Oregon and we were working really bizarrely long hours and I spent like $176. Also, it was we had a like incredible heat wave in Portland. I didn't have any AC in my house, so I kept just like going to bars to get cold. But you can see it's really died down. I don't drink alcohol, so the eating at restaurants out, it's not something that brings me a ton of joy. I would rather spend the money in other ways. I like supporting local restaurants, but this was the $250 I put in there I mentioned for citizenship. So giving is only at $800. This is my personal budget for giving, which I usually split between the Oregon Cultural Trust and like arts organizations that I work with for Pay It Forward because we get a tax benefit for the Oregon Cultural Trust. I have it just set at $800. I might do it higher. I might do it lower. I do a lot more of my giving through Oh My Dollar, My Business, which doesn't show up on this. So we'll see where that kind of comes out. Flotsam, that just means extra random things. That's what's in the Flotsam category most of the time. Okay, so travel. This is based on my Kenya trip that is supposed to be scheduled at the end of January. I don't think that's what's going to happen. You may be like, wow, that looks really low for a Kenya trip. I'd already booked the plane tickets and most of the hotels I had actually gotten on points. So these were just the taxes and fees. This was the COVID test to get in there. This was the train to go between there. And then this was local transport, and then food is sort of what everybody sort of estimated it to be at. So the other 800 was just me being like, oh, this will be another random trip that I spend money on. I don't really know what's going to parse out with this, but we'll talk more about it does seem low for Kenya, but Kenya is only like it's only like an 8-day trip, the trip I originally had scheduled for this. And the hotels were booked on points and the plane ticket was already bought last year. So that's one of the reasons it's low. The other $800 would be likely just for, there was hope that I would be able to go to Thailand for a conference in May. That is not happening in Thailand anymore. The gay games in Hong Kong that were supposed to happen in November 2022 have now been moved out to November 2023. So my travel is extremely up in the air, except for this Guinness World Records attempt, which I will parse this out for you. The reason it's last is there's a lot in there. So when you see the 1600 for travel, you're going to be like, oh, well, actually, technically, this is an entire travel thing. So we might be the education 600. This year, I actually had a pretty high education expenses. I both paid for a weekly German class that I'm enrolled in, and then I also took a Croatian class last winter. I'm kind of putting 600 there for the idea that I might participate in some other kind of class. I'd rather just have the money in the budget. Clothing, 300 seems low for me. It's definitely lower than I have been spending on an annual basis the past 2 years, but that's because I haven't been able to travel anywhere, so I've been buying clothes instead. So I would like to keep it around here. That is, that breaks down to 25 a month, which is really just mostly like mending. I get most of my clothes used from Poshmark, but that doesn't mean I can't spend a lot of money on it. So I actually recently was trying to add up all of the money that I had spent at Poshmark in the past several years, and it is a lot. Okay, now, Guinness World Records attempt. Let's dive into this because it is overwhelming. So, the trip that I am planning, let's actually pull it up. This is the current route that I've parsed out. That being said, it will very likely change. I have been through, I think, 10 different versions of this route. So, this trip is meant to be the setting the record for the fastest time to travel to all EU capital cities by scheduled surface transportation. So it has involved looking at a ton of timetables for ferries, trains, maps. So my thought was that I could do this to maybe celebrate if I did get my Croatian citizenship and I had a Croatian passport. I could do this as a celebratory trip. Now I'm just kind of obsessed with it because I've spent so much time researching it. So this is the route that I currently have. I shouldn't share technically too much about this because someone could crib this and then try to like beat the record. But I think most people are not this, they don't have this wild of ideas of what is a fun vacation. So on this map, what is represented here is blue is ferries, green is high-speed rail, pink is regular speed rail, and orange is buses. So this is the timetable. And when I say I've gone through a ton of timetables, I really mean it. So this is the timetable for all of the different ones here. What I ended up doing. So normally when I strategize for train trips that aren't attempting to make a Guinness World Record, I will do things like take the cheapest train. I might take a train at a slightly worse time of day. I might try to go for a Eurail pass or something like that. I can't do that when it comes to this Guinness World Record attempt because I'm going for fastest. And so I have like very specific trains I need to do because they are like the fastest next best way to get there. There are a couple of reasons why this might not happen this year. I mean, there's obviously the big like COVID question mark. But the really big reason that influences things is for Southern Europe, I'm heavily dependent on, you see these little ferries down here? These are tourist ferries, and a lot of these actual high-speed rail or just regular speed rail are also tourist trains. And so they occur at far less frequency, or they're just canceled if there's not enough tourist traffic. So I can't really do this attempt until we know that Greece and Italy and Croatia or anything are actually going to be running these tourist ferries, because I have 2 islands that I have to go to because they are islands that are EU capitals, Malta and Cyprus. So you'll also notice that is why I'm going through several countries that are not actually EU countries. Notably, Turkey and Serbia are not EU countries. The reason I am going through those countries is because I have to go to Greek Cyprus, which is part of the EU. And the only way by land or sea to get to Greek Cyprus is actually through Turkey. There was plans to have a Greek ferry from down into Cyprus here so that I wouldn't have to go all the way around, blah, 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 to Istanbul, to freaking Belgrade. But you know what? I like trains, so... the Journaling Broom says, do you get anything for making a Guinness World Record? Do you win money or a trophy? No, you just win bragging rights. You actually have to kind of pay them a little to be, like, evaluated for it. It's not terribly expensive for this particular one, but no. You don't get anything. But, you know, maybe I can turn it into sponsors if someone wants to sponsor my, like, weird project. I am kind of hoping that this will be interesting and fascinating for people. So, all that being said, because I have very specific trains that I need to be able to do, I essentially went for whatever the kind of mid-range cost of these trains are. So, most train pricing, especially in Europe, is sort of like plane pricing, which is, it's variable. Usually it's in reverse. So, the earlier you buy it and the less flexible you are, like meaning you're not buying a ticket that you can go anytime in the day, but you're buying a specific train ticket, the cheaper it is. So essentially I went for the mid-range tickets for most of these, where I actually researched what these would look like. You will note I don't have a lot of housing in here. The reason I don't have a lot of hotels, so this was my private hostel cost in USD. And this was my train cost in euros, by the way, but then this is the act of converting it into USD. So, I have like a little script that converts it into USD for me based on the mid-market rates. So these are the days where I'm not able to sleep on an overnight train. This is not color-coded from when I originally pasted it. So let me, nope, EU capitals, there we go, Google Sheets. I think if I show you what it looks like in this one, yeah. So there's actually a color-coded schedule here that shows me if I need to stay overnight or if I'm sleeping on the train and whether or not the night is a full night. So for some of them, I do actually have to stay over for a full night, and those ones are going to have the private hostel cost. Private hostel cost was my way of breaking the difference between sometimes I'm probably going to buy a regular hotel as opposed to a private hostel. And then sometimes I am probably going to just be willing to sleep in a dorm bed. A dorm bed, if I'm only there for a couple hours, I might actually want to get a fancier hotel so I don't have to deal with things like curfews or check-in or check-out at a hostel. But if I'm there a little longer, it's actually, I prefer to usually stay in a hostel because often they feed you breakfast and you get to meet people, which I always find interesting. And if you're really backpacking around Europe, you might find people that want to just come with you for part of the trip. The other thing is I have several people that are interested in coming in at least part of the trip. There is a possibility that a friend and Oh My Dollar patron will join me for some of the Northern Europe areas around Helsinki and Tallinn. And then there is another friend who is actually the one that has helped me quite a lot with my Croatian application. And he is a rail nerd that is originally from Croatia. And he is interested in perhaps coming along for some of the southeastern European swing through the Balkans, essentially. So there's a possibility that some of these costs go down for me. The other thing is that I am likely to get a sleeper car whenever one is available if I do have to sleep overnight. So I am taking a lot of sleeper trains, and I am now old enough that I do not like to sleep in just a regular coach seat like I used to going on Amtrak's across the US. And so I will probably pay for a sleeper car. So this is a pretty generous budget. You'll also see that my food budget is $800 US dollars, which altogether this trip is estimated to take me 21 days. This is based on the day of trip. Of course, if I miss some ferries, then screwed. So the $800 is essentially breaking down what is that divided by 21? Yeah, it's like a $40 a day budget for food, which given that I'm going to mostly be on trains, I'm probably going to be mostly eating snacks from grocery store train stations for a lot of the time. I'm not a foodie, as we've established before. So that's actually probably a little high for the budget, but days that I do have layovers or I'm stuck somewhere, I'm definitely gonna go have a nice mid-market meal out. So altogether, this comes to $3,021. So Dean says, I think budgeting for sleep is very important over that time span. Yeah, that's one of the reasons this is a hard trip to do. Someone who's done a similar trip, he did every European capital city as opposed to EU capital city by scheduled surface transportation. One of his big things was just there were so many border crossings in the middle of the night that really influenced his sleep schedule. But because I am mostly staying in Schengen and EU as opposed to doing all of European, I am going to have less border crossings where, they're going to be actually doing things at the border. So yeah, I know. I think it is important to actually look at sleep. Why am I doing this trip this way? I don't know. It's kind of dumb, but I don't think it's a good use of my time. So altogether, that came to $3,021. This might not happen this year. This is the highest amount of money that I have ever spent in a year. If I end up spending all of this money, that is $24,753 as my annual budget. Usually my budget ranges between $16,000 and $22,000 in the amount I spend. I think I'm going to be just under $22,000 for this year. We'll see. I've got some pending refunds from all the travel we had to cancel, so we'll see how it actually shakes out. Let's see what it says right now, actually. Spending. Select all. Now deselect my savings categories and deselect the taxes category. And, oh, wait, this is all time. This is how much I've spent in the past 5 years. Let's do this year. So yeah, right now I'm at $21,432.89. Dean says, I had one of the worst nights of sleep in my life in a hostel lower bunk beneath an industrial snorer. The next day was a write-off. I had a absolutely abysmal night of sleep in a hostel in Dublin, actually. I will not be going back to that hostel. It was actually a fine hostel. It was just that I had decided I was only going to be there for a short period of time because I was actually getting on the ferry that night, super early in the morning. And I stayed at this hostel, and it was in a 12-bunk room, and there were just these French teenagers in the same room as me who just were talking in rapid French all freaking night. And there was an industrial snorer. So it was not my favorite. We had a really loud snorer in one of my hostel rooms in Japan, and I found him, I just slept through it. It was no problem. So I think it really depends. The bunk beds were really, they were metal, kind of unstable ones at the one in Dublin, versus in Japan, they were nicely engineered where you've got your little curtains and everything. I think I personally no longer will stay at a hostel that doesn't have curtains on the bunk beds. I think that's my lifestyle's upgraded a little bit. Christine says, wow, you scare me with your attention to detail. I'd be thrilled to be as 25% as detailed as you. Well, thanks, I guess. So when it comes to the actual budgeting out, because essentially, rather than kind of going in reverse order of being like, how much money do I have coming in? Then what am I going to spend? Because my income is going to be really variable for the first couple months of the year, probably for the first 6 months of the year, my income is going to be really variable as I like ramp up in the new job. I have decided to just sort of eat down savings and be able to budget for my own savings rather than be like, oh no, I have to always spend below what I bring in, because I am hoping that just whatever I bring in, I can punt towards savings from that job rather than kind of put pressure on myself to always make that, because I think one of the advantages of not having a ton of work at the beginning of the year is that I do have time to work on some of these other projects. And a lot of those other projects take money. Like I'm trying to do a YouTube project next year. I've got this travel project, the Guinness World Records trip, which is really a project and not just a trip. And the, figure skating takes a ton of time, and it's time that I might not have in once I'm really fully ramped up at this job. So I'm trying to recognize that like I have been working hard. I was working 3 jobs in 2020, one of which was a full-time job. And like I've been working hard. I've saved a ton of money, and it now is not the time to be pinching pennies around it. I have enough buffer that I will know if things are going really wrong, right? So like I'm going to reevaluate in June and be like, am I not bringing in the amount that I thought I was going to bring in at this new job? Do I feel like I'm spending down my savings too much? And this is just my savings. This is not my emergency fund. My emergency fund is separate, and it's $20,000 is the amount that I have that's like set aside in my emergency fund. So this is just my kind of cash savings sitting around, which is about $32,000. So that I feel, fairly confident about it. Did I just like compress everything? I don't know what I just did. So we'll just reload this. Oh yeah, cool. Page unresponsive. Anybody have any budget questions or kind of want to see or look through any of this? I feel weird about this because it is really high and it's going into a year where I don't know what I'm going to be making. That being said, it's still this entire budget, including this like bananas Guinness World Record attempt trip, which may not even happen this year, depending on whether or not the ferries happen. It's still like less than I have available in my cash non-emergency savings. So I feel pretty confident about this. My goal for 2022 is to earn $60,000 across both Oh My Dollar and my new job. I think the year after that, I'll probably be earning more than that. But I would be very happy if I earned $60,000. I would love to earn more than that. That's pretty close to what I have pulled in this year. I think I'm going to pull in. We can pull up my savings if we want to. The big thing for me is that I am extremely close to 100,000 K net worth, which might sound very big to some of you and might sound very small to some of you. For me, I didn't have well-paying jobs for most of my 20s, and so I really only had the opportunity to really aggressively build. I was always contributing to investments and everything, but it was I didn't have the opportunity to really aggressively build until a couple of years ago, and I'm very proud of how close I am. The markets can do what they want. About 50% of my net worth is invested in the markets. So, whatever it's going to be. So yeah. Oh, it looks like I'll probably be about 61,081. Emily says, dude, 100K is so impressive. Thank you. I feel very good about it, and then occasionally I go into parts of the internet that make me feel like it's not enough, but I recognize it is a huge privilege to be able to do that. So Christine says, because of your savings, I am committing to similar. I used to easily spend down savings, but given what's going on, I'll continue to spend frugally. Thank you. I mean, I guess I'm glad. I kind of just made the opposite choice, which is that I'm not planning on becoming like extremely lush, but I am spending on what I value. The big question mark in the air beyond the greater question mark that we're all under with COVID is whether or not this house is done next year. I am not on the mortgage for this house, but the mortgage for this house is not small. And because it's 3 units, and because of that, there is a big question of, if it is done this year, what is that going to look like as far as how much am I going to put towards the living expenses? Are we going to figure out a way for me to get some equity or not? But yeah. Christine says, I'm traveling like you are. Nice. Okay. I mean, that's like a good reason to do it. Yeah. So the Kenya trip, I don't think is happening at the end of January. So I guess let's very quickly, I'm going to tell you what my goals are for 2022. And then we're going to eat a donut. And then we're going to move into the planning part of the goals. I don't know if anybody has any questions about my budget. Let me know. I'm always happy to walk through like how I do my budgeting. So the way that I do my like every month, I try to stay like a couple months out as far as what's in my checking account. And I will take out in the future months from this category. And that category is, I will then fill that in. So it's kind of like a backwards engineering, but then as soon as I get paid, which for me falls on the last day of the month, my day job pays me on the last day of the month, and then I choose to pay myself on the last day of the month from my dollar. I don't know why. But then that day I will make this zero out this category again. So I'll first put anything in there before I fill in my savings categories and stuff like that. I don't get a ton of cash money in right now from my paychecks. I mean, I'm very grateful for what I do, but I have access to a 401k at my job. I haven't had access in a long time. And because of that, I am maxing completely out my 401k as much as possible, which means that I think it's 43% of my paycheck is going into my 401k. And that means that I don't see a ton of my money, but it also means that my net worth is growing at a really rapid rate. Christine says, but South/Latin America may not happen. That's so awesome. I'm like I think one of the reasons I haven't done trips to South America is because, one, I don't speak Spanish, although I speak more Spanish than I do Chinese, and I seem willing to go to China. Speak is a strong word. I can read and muddle my way through Spanish a lot better than I can Chinese, I guess I should say. I never took Spanish in school or anything, so everything I know is from working in kitchens. And so I know like behind you and stuff like that in Spanish. And like hot. Plus, like, you just hear it on train announcements and stuff in the US. But anyway, I think the reason that I've been so like reticent to do a big trip in South America is both like language barrier, but also I feel like I want to do like a big trip in South America. Like, I know a lot of people who have biked through all like from bottom to top of South America. I know a lot of people who've done trike tours and train tours and bus tours. And so I kind of just like, I have this idea that I'm going to do a lot of it at once, and I'm going to need a big chunk of time. And so I keep putting it off. I would like to do it as actually a bike trip. Just, I would like to do several countries as a bike trip, but there's also risks because a lot of the countries that I want to do, like Colombia, are maybe not the safest place for me to be traveling alone on a bike. So, but I have friends that speak Spanish, so that I might be able to sucker into it. So, Christine says Spanish-speaking countries are so forgiving. That's good to know. That's really good to know compared to some other places. I was trying to learn some Swahili for like negotiating for Kenya. But, you know, English is the colonial language in Kenya, so it was like a good way to step my toes in the water. So, I have number goals for 2022. 2022. Let me see if I can zoom in here. Why won't you just let me? This is like the one app that won't let you just like zoom in on a part of the screen without clicking that. Okay. So I have this number goal spreadsheet, and I'm going to try to, I think I'm going to try to use this as like my dashboard. So I tried to come up with monetary numbers for any of the things that I'm working on. So the overriding big creative project of 2022 for me is that I am going to do 22 in 2022, where I'm going to make 22 YouTube videos, actual edited videos, not just live streams, on my YouTube channel for 2022. And that is like the thing that is going to take the largest amount of chunk of creative time. My contract for podcast requires me to do 22 podcasts. So I'm going to split the podcasts essentially every other week there. I would like to hit 5,000 subscribers on my YouTube channel, but considering that it's about to turn 15 on Saturday and I'm still not at 1,000, we'll see. But please subscribe, although only, I forgot to mention that we have subscriber only. You have to be a subscriber for 5 minutes to join the chat on this stream. And the reason we implemented that is not just a sneaky way to get you to subscribe, but we've been having more and more spam issues in the chat with like it just takes a lot of work. There's moderation that has to happen. And we hope that this would maybe kind of cut down on some of the spam issues we've been having. So miles biked, this isn't actually like, I know a lot of people associate biking with, like fitness or something like that, but actually I just bike for transportation. So I've been tracking the miles that I bike for, like 15 years or something. And let me actually see. The problem is that I don't have anywhere to bike. And since I'm a transportation biker, I have been significantly dropping the amount of miles I bike in 2020 and 2022. So I picked 1,400 miles because in 2019, I biked 1,411 miles, 1,411.50 miles. The year before that, when I didn't have a broken wrist for part of the year, nor was I extensively traveling, it was actually 2,169. Anyway, it's been on a steady decline. Like one of my highest years was like, 2013. I was working 5 jobs, including one where I delivered stuff by bike, and I did almost 4,000 miles that year. And so 1,400 is I just kind of want to track to see if we're on track. This little thing will tell me, this little emoji will update based on the percentage of the year that I'm at. So that's one of the big ones. Students Taught is for my Pay It Forward program. So patrons support, as well as people who buy a copy of my book and then donate one through the Pay It Forward program. They support the work that I do. I don't charge anything to different nonprofit groups that I come in and I teach at, or I do one-on-one counseling, whatever makes the most sense. And I give books out. Fuzzbubble says, what podcast apps have the podcast? Still don't see them on mine. Well, we'll talk about how one of my goals is to fix the thing going on with the podcast. So I had issues with the podcast, was set to do a relaunch, and then I just didn't have time. And I'm going to do it for 2022. So more on that. I guess we'll talk about that a little bit later. But all of the apps should have them. We have now updated it to the appropriate thing, but you wouldn't be getting new episodes right now. So it's not you, it's me, is really the real answer. I also do these like savings totals, everything. This is I'm tracking the income, and this is my goal towards $60,000, which is my income goal for the year. I have sort of like more complicated breakdowns of what kind of income I want to get from different parts of Oh My Dollar. That is like, we don't need to get into that. I think it's too granular to be interesting to most people. But let's eat the donut. But before I do that, I do want to mention we are doing a giveaway for the Midori Day Length Graduation Diary, which is a 2022 planner. I've showed it before on this stream. If we have the overhead, we can show it here. But it is a really great planner. Oh my God, the paper is like agonizingly beautiful. It's so nice. And I'm doing a giveaway for these. You can find the link down below. The only thing you have to do for the giveaway is enter, subscribe to this channel. So I'm really trying to get to that 1,000. So, and it comes with cat stickers and a year of Rescue Time Premium. And we are going to draw the winner next week during this stream. So make sure to enter. Also, a copy of A Cat's Guide to Money will come with it. It is, anybody can enter, but I will only be shipping to the US. So if you are outside the US and you do win, you can pick a friend in the United States, but yeah. Okay, donut. It's unreasonably exciting, y'all. This is like a very pretty donut, and I hope we can accurately capture it. This is a pumpkin donut with a CBD truffle on it, but it has like glitter on the truffle. Look at that. It's really got a lot going on. I don't normally like chocolate, and they've had quite a few with CBD on them, and they've all been like chocolate flavored. So this is the first one that's mostly not. I was also assured that this would not get me high. So it's just like a regular donut below. Oh yeah. There's nothing inside of it. Love this energy from the vegan donut place. This is actually a $6 donut, which I realize is expensive, but it does have a CBD truffle on the top. And I actually got it with my, like, 12 stamp one. And normally they don't let you get a $6 donut with one of those 12 stamps. But he's like, you're here every week. I'll let you use it on that. Okay. This is delicious, but I need to like get to the truffle. I don't understand how to, when they put the truffle just in the middle, what am I supposed to do to like have it with the pumpkin? Okay. I don't like chocolate. This is not a chocolatey truffle. This is like a creamy, it has some level of like chocolate taste to it, but the more overwhelming thing is like the texture is really good. This is great though. I don't taste any CBD-y things. Isn't CBD supposed to taste like a little earthy? Is my mouth gonna go numb from the CBD? I kind of want to take the truffle off and just like, it has peanut butter on the bottom of it. You said budgeting and ASMR combined. Can you hear the like chomping in the mic? I'm sorry. It's like a mukbang, but a mukbang where we only eat one donut. Oh, there, I got some of the like little bitterness of the CBD there. Christine said CBD, if real, is subtle. Yeah, the guy there at the shop, the manager was like, CBD is kind of a myth. Like it's like very overblown. Emily said, did you just ask if it was going to numb your mouth? Yeah, I don't know the only substance I do is Earl Grey tea. Oh my god. I put too much in my mouth. Between the truffle and the pumpkin, it's like I can't finish chewing it. My ratings are... I think my rating is a 3 out of 5. I gotta say, the pumpkin is really solid and the donut itself is good, but the logistics of trying to eat a truffle that's like located in the middle of it. Christine says Earl Grey tea, for real? Yeah, I know, it's wild, isn't it? Over here with my Earl Grey tea. Tomas says maybe helps with muscle pain. Your mileage may vary. It's good to see you, Tomas. You've been quietly here. It should not numb your mouth unless you eat icy hot with it. Well, okay, that also seems like a bad idea. I guess I was thinking of like kava. So kava kind of makes your mouth numb. And that's like the closest other substance I guess I've had. It's also been like 10 years since I've had any kava, but kava does make your mouth a little numb. Should we dig into the planner situation? Yeah, 3 out of 5 was the donut rating. My Earl Grey tea is cold, by the way. So it's not even a good substance right now. So I guess we just dive into it. All right, so the planner I'm using for 20... Why is there so much stuff on the... I thought this was... We were more zoomed in before, weren't we? Now there's stuff. This was outside the range before. Okay, the planner I am using for 2022 is the Hobonichi Cousin Avec, which means it's split into 2 booklets. Between this one and the second half of the year. So this just has the January through July days, and then the second half of the booklet. This is my current one that I've been using, which is, yes, I have 2 covers, even after I was making fun of how expensive the covers are. It just happened. We're moving along. So this is a planner I've been using. I've been liking it. The problem that I have been running into is that I don't really fill the daily pages as much as I would hope to. And I feel like I've been kind of underutilizing the monthly pages. So I really want to find a way to track the projects that I have going on and my goals in my 2022 one. And there's some things that I want to set up in it. So this is it. I already put it in the cover. And I actually made a list of the things that I want to track in it. In my planner. Okay. So things I want to track are my net worth, because I'm so tantalizingly close. Videos, appointments like normal, my shots. So something that I have these cute little stickers. I only take my shot once a week, and that means that, and then I'm also not supposed to take it when I, have a small cold or something like that. So I can kind of juggle the days around. And one thing that ends up happening is I get a little confused, and I don't actually track it anywhere beyond, I've been putting it kind of in my weekly spreads, like on the day that I give myself a shot, but I don't think of weekly spreads as a really good way to track that. So, I would prefer to track it in somewhere where it's kind of like more of an overview where I'd be able to actually see it. And it would give me a feeling of satisfaction to be able to check it off, because I don't particularly love giving myself a shot. It doesn't take very long, but sometimes I procrastinated on it really hard. So I put these tabs, these are actually just from the dollar store, but they're Post-it notes that are made out of like, I don't know, some sort of plasticky thing. And because of that, they make really good, at least temporary index tabs without screwing up my pages. So, Tomas asked, did I miss the part where you talk about quitting your job? I mentioned it a little bit briefly, but yeah, I've been doing transit data schedules. My last day at my job is on the 27th of December. So I'm already into next year's book. And I've been doing transit data as my day job for the past 2 years, but I got offered a position doing investment workshops and retirement planning for small businesses through a super small investment firm that is focused on ethical investing. They're fee only, all fiduciary responsibilities, no commissions. And so, but that means that I'm going to have very variable income as I ramp up in the new job. And I still have a lot of studying to do. So, I would like to figure out like kind of the best way to track that. And then I also have some things that I want to put in here. So I have this map, which may not end up being the final route that I take on the trip, but I'd like to put it in here. And then I have some dates that I printed out, which are the test dates for US figure skating dates. And I think I should do some sort of like main page where I put all of my goals for the year so that I can kind of refer back to them. You know, I do a blog post, but looking at my own blog is sort of weird. Craig says tabs made of Tyvek. Maybe, yeah, something like that. They definitely have some sort of thing. So, I don't know, where these are like the index review pages. Should I put the goals down first? I think maybe I should put the goals down first. I'm going to use my erasable pen because I'm not very good at this cute handwriting sort of situation. Actually, I have a stencil. Let's get some stickers to make this work because I don't have any skills in the cute things department. But I do want this to look kind of nice. I'm mostly a functional planner, but I do like to have, you know, some fun things. Okay, so I have these stickers that are like number stickers, which I have only been using the year stickers because they're so massive. What else would I use them for? Oh my god, the 22 does not want to come off. Well, if I could get the stickers off of the sheet, this would be... There we go. All right. Do I have any stickers that just say like the word goals somewhere? I bet I do. Because that's like a common planner sticker. Nope, can't find the word goals anywhere, so I'll have to find that later. I have the word weekly goal. Nope. Oh, these are tiny. Nope. Oh, there we go. There's the word goal. I was like, surely this book of planner stickers will have something that says the word goal on it. So, my plan is to kind of come up with some sort of color scheme for all of this. I have a kitten assistant here. I feel like this is going to work out poorly, but we'll find out. I'm using the Frixon pens, which this is actually like a little too wide of a pen for me, but it is erasable, and I feel like I need erasable for this. So, the categories of goals that I have. I think we'll separate these into like quadrants of some sort. I kind of have roughly already figured out what my goals are for 2022. And then there's like obviously a bunch of huge question marks about whether or not any of them actually happen. So this is work, day job, and then work, oh my dollar, then hi kitten, you're very cute. Then travel, skating, creative and learning, I'm kind of lumping together. This is why I need a erasable pen, because I just wrote lumping while I was saying that out loud. Okay. Creative, learning, and then, oh, you're so cute, Dora. And then finances. I know. Dean says, I think planning in a pandemic has to be the very definition of penciling things in. I think that's the thing I've really struggled with through all of this, is like feeling like I don't even want to put things that I normally would have put in as like, yeah, like I have a trip that I'm supposed to leave on in 43 days that I decided like I couldn't even put in pen, right? Which is like the kind of thing I normally would have. How do you like this arrangement with a kitten assistant? Do we think this is a good addition? Okay, so financial goal is 100K net worth. Not $100 net worth. That would be a downgrade. And then making 5,000, I'm going to put greater than or equal to 5,000 gross per month by end of year. And then make 60K overall. So those are my financial goals. Those are the easiest to do, I feel like. I normally do pretty ambitious savings goals. We have like the, Dora is looking at the monitor right now, so she's really helping here. I normally do like a savings goal, but I think I'm going to do a percentage goal. So, saving 22% of gross rather than a flat amount. So this year, my goal was to save $21,000. I ended up saving, I think I'm going to be close to 28,000. I don't think I'm going to cross 30. But because I don't really know what my income is going to look like next year, we're going to put that off. Okay. So creative / learning is Finnish, German class. So I'm taking a German class this year. And then, oh, hello, Dora. I would like to get to 100K points on Duolingo. I'm currently at like 63K points on Duolingo. But I feel like 100K is actually within the realm. And if I fail, I'd be happy to hit at 80% of that. So skating, which is really also sort of my fitness goals. So skating goals are to take, oh my God, Dora. She does love to attack pens, so this might be a very exciting. Okay, so take. Are you helping? Novice moves in the field. Oh no, we lost a light. I wonder if that light's gone forever now. Can you still see the paper, or can anybody see the paper because there's a cat on top of it? Take novice moves in the field. And take adult gold. So essentially with skating right now, I'm focusing on kind of my hours, the hours that I put in, and then these tests, because I don't really have any competitions planned for 2022. I don't get a ton of thrill out of doing competitions, and they cost actually like really a lot of money. So how many hours have I skated this year? I've skated 85 hours this year, and that is with a absolute like no skating really till July. So, and I skated 24 hours in 2020 and 149 hours in 2019. So I think I can reasonably put my goal at 125 hours, because I think I'm going to be able to meet that. That is essentially 5 hours a week, roughly. Hi, you're so helpful. Okay, so travel, I would like to apply for North Korea visa. So you're so helpful. So I tentatively have a trip planned to North Korea, Dora. This is very helpful. Let's see if I can make a little. Okay, apply for North Korea visa. So I tentatively have a trip planned to North Korea in 2023, and it's a complicated visa process, and I have to put a deposit. So I need to do that at some point this year. Guinness World Records trip, and / postpone. And the other trip is I would like to go to 5 new countries. So I am on a mission to travel to every country that has long distance rail in it, and take a train in every country that has a train. And I'm at 44 countries now, so I still have a way to go. And okay, now she's just laying down. This is very cute. I need this planner, Dora. There we go. Okay, well, she's definitely helping here. Okay, now work. I'm including this YouTube channel in the work OMD, but maybe I should just make it OND/YouTube. So the big project of the year is 22. This is thrilling content, is it not? The big project of the year is 22 in... Can I just write while you chew on that, Dora? 22 in 2022, which is 22 videos I am going to make on YouTube in 2022. And I have like concrete deadlines for those, because I need concrete deadlines. And then with day job, pass Series 65, set up Dora, set up routines. Oh my God. At least she's cute, right? Dora says all is well as long as she travels with you somehow. She does not want to come traveling. She wants to stay home for laps. Set up routines. That just kind of means figuring out my place at my new job. And the other thing I want to do is pass my professional plan consultant certification. And then for Oh My Dollar, I would like to teach 215 students through Pay It Forward, which is our nonprofit program, which is how many I did this year, actually. So I'm kind of just expecting to match next year. And then I would like to do 20 speaking gigs, which is pretty much how many I did this year. But I would like to do some in person again. That would be really great. And 22 podcast episodes, which means figure out podcast. There we go. Well done with that. And then last but not least, look into doing OMD planner reprint. So I had a budget planner that I was doing, and I am considering doing another run of it. We sold out of the first run of, I think, 500 of them. And it's undated, so I just kind of need to look at if I want to do that again. I think that's all the goals. Did I miss any goals from my goals list? Yes, Dora, you're so helpful. Oh, for travel, I also actually put 2 travel videos. So I want 2 of my videos to be travel videos. I'm really shooting low because I often overshoot. And cool. I feel good about those goals. Anybody have any goals questions? Oh, right. I want to find ice dancing coach. There we go. So those are the big goals for the year. It kind of looks like a lot, but many of them are kind of repetitive. Now, let's talk about these monthly spreads. If you can see them under my cat. Hi, can I have a little more of the space? She's letting me kind of shift her over here. So there's a couple things I want to put into here. One thing is I would like to I think I'm going to do it in blue. I think blue is going to be the color of skating related stuff. I don't know. Blue is like ice. Do we have yet another camera for this? Dean says, how often would you refer back to this goals page over the year? Probably semi-frequently, but I'm going to be using that dashboard that I showed you all on Google Sheets. But I just like to have them in the planner. I am not going to do, okay. So March 13th is a feasible test deadline for me. I'm not even going to put in these deadlines that I have here essentially are the different testing dates for figure skating tests. Essentially, you have to have a coach and everything, or you have to have judges and everything for figure skating tests. And I am putting them in here because Oregon doesn't have a lot of skating clubs, and so they actually have pretty limited test options available. So I would like to... Oh, hello. Okay. We're just laying down on the planner now. Well, you're very cute. I guess this is what we've got going on. So I'm going to write in the application deadlines on the calendar. I think I'm going to do these all on the calendar overview, and I'm using the calendar overview as sort of dumping grounds for all potential things rather than making it like for a specific kind of tracking. Instead, I'm using it as sort of the all possible kind of deadlines and stuff, because I'll most likely look at these right at the beginning of the month when I'm planning the next month. Okay. So March 13th. So February 11th, I need to put a deadline for March 11th test. And I think I'll know when the testing is, right? That seems feasible. Now, March 11th. Which club is this at? This is at Sherwood Test. She really wants to help every time, right? Okay. Oh, wait. Nope, that's... I already did this. This is why I did this on an erasable pen. I really do feel like I'm screwing up the paper already, huh? Sherwood test date. And then March 11th is... Yeah. This is the deadline for 410 test. Yeah, you're so helpful. And she is not saying chillax. She's saying she's the opposite of chillaxed. She's like, you have a pen. Must destroy pen. April 10th is Sherwood test. Dora. This is just adding a fun... It's like playing Mario Kart with my planner. Where there's like a, you know, I might get thrown a mushroom or something as I'm working on this. Oh, do you have interesting ideas about all of this? Pen murder is her whole planner. Correct. Pen murder is her literal favorite thing to do. Sherwood test on April 10th. And then April 24th is Portland test. And the deadline is on the 6th. Do you love my beautiful handwriting here? Paper is flat and boring, not like cat. You must play with cat. She wants me to add in a goal about sparkly balls. Should we add in more stickers of you, Dora? Is that what you're saying? You don't have enough cat stickers in here? This is the top of her head now. You can't at all see the planner. How about this? Do you think I can push her back? Oh, she's going back like an inch at a time. Oh, oh. This is very cute. I wish you all could see just her ears are like totally back. They're like, they're not like angry back, they're like apprising the situation back. She looks like a little, you know, owl. She looks like an owl. That's what the word I'm looking for. I'm not gonna test it at Southern Oregon Figure Skating Club, so that's not gonna happen. Nor am I gonna go to Eugene. Woof. So the next one is until June 25th, which is a Saturday. And then what's the deadline for that Portland test date? It's June 7th. 6/26 deadline test. And then this is the final one in here. And we are going to make this for... What are we going to do this for, Dora? What do you think? She's plotting some pen murder here. Okay, July, there is one more test date. Portland test. And then the deadline for that is July 6th, the day before my birthday. Okay. Deadline for 7/24. Great. Now I have all those test deadlines in there, and I'm also just going to washi tape this into the back as reference. Mostly because it has some... I don't have any figure skating washi tape. Can someone fix that for me, please? I need some figure skating washi tape. We'll just do some coffee washi tape, because that's what I have available. It's coffee with cats, obviously. So washi tape that in there. You're so helpful, Dora. Now, the next thing I want to track is these videos, which I think I'm just going to put the video deadlines in here so that I can kind of keep track of them. So I'm planning on making my video deadlines be on the 1st and the 3rd Saturdays of the month. And then it's 22 in 2022. So I'm going to take off the last week of the year and my birthday. So the video deadlines are in there through March. Okay, April 2nd and 16th. And then this one's weird, but that's because May is there. So the 1st is the 7th. The 21st. Then in June, it'll be here, the 4th video, 18th video, and then and then I was going to take this weekend off because it's like a holiday weekend here in the US. 16th video. And then that gets into next year. So I'm going to switch to German, to green, and that is for German. Just because it's the next available one. And I have German classes every Saturday. So I'm going to put them in, but there are some Saturdays that they are not on. So I'm going to pull up that calendar on my phone. Anybody have any comments or questions about the planner? At this point, it's just a cat stream, so, you know. Or if anybody has any advice about how best to track, you know, internal deadlines and stuff in your calendar, I would love to hear it. My strategy is I'm just going to dump as many deadlines as I can into the monthly overview because I actually do like viewing it for, like, plans and stuff like that. And my big fear is that time has been so weird this year that the past 2 years, which is, I say this year, but I really just mean the year of 2020 that's gone on for 3 years. Time has been so weird. I'm like, I keep being worried that I'm going to like lose deadlines and stuff like that. Look how cute she is with her little helping. Okay, so when is alarms? I don't know what I would do without reminders / alarms. Yeah, the problem I have with, I use so many alarms through the day. Like, I use timers. I use Llama Life, which I cannot recommend enough. I've talked about it on streams here before. I have a lot more trouble with the, like, calendar reminders because I have so many different calendars for, like, different work accounts and nonprofit accounts and stuff like that. And I just don't trust one calendar as the source of truth. But yeah, I do that. One of the problems that I run into is like deadlines for things that aren't real deadlines. So like reminding myself to make sure to check to see if they've posted the application for scholarships for Croatian language learning. It's like, that's not on a specific date. It's just like me needing to continually remind myself to check or something like that. I don't know, that kind of stuff just annoys me. German American Society, Portland. Okay. So I am looking up the calendar for this year. Oh, you're so helpful, Dora, aren't you? Okay, so I'm just writing German class there. Dean says, my main question is how you keep the mental discipline to keep adding to and checking your planner. I need ways to build that routine, you know? So for me, the checking of the planner for like the month ahead is something I do when I kind of turn over my books at the end of the month. So I post the monthly reports about what I spend, and part of that process is I look forward to the next month. So I will look at my planner to like see what it looks like on a daily basis. I check my calendar each day when I sit down, just because it's out and visible at my desk. So when I sit down, I start all my timers for recording my timing and everything like that. And then, do you see this little kitten ears that is just like in the view? It's very cute. She's really all about this being part of this stream, I've noticed. Yeah, so for me, it's the developing the routine so that it becomes like part of the process, I guess, if that makes sense. I would be nothing if it weren't for routines. Like I can't function as a human without routines. And you'll notice that as soon as something stops being routine, that's when I fall apart. So like, for example, I was posting weekly YouTube videos on the same time each week in March or in 2019. And then I went to Japan and it interrupted my routine, and then the videos fell apart. So I also need external pressure and deadlines. So Dora is stream bobbing with a plum today. I mean, she was encouraged to do it, but yeah, she's being real cute. I hope you like cats, because if you don't, I don't think you want to be here, but German class. Dora, don't eat pieces of tape. Oh, no class on March 19th. It is spring break. And none on the 26th. Boop, moving the tail here. And is this interesting to people? I hope people are working on other things like I recommended. It turns out it takes time to do this, so it's not very interesting content, I feel like. Okay, last German class. Christine says, I commit to planning early each day, write it down, then follow it. If I don't, ugh. Working on a painting while listening to a stream. Well, I'm glad that people have other activities, because I'm clearly a hot mess with my ability to keep up what I am doing. Dean says, I stumped up for Llama Life per your recommendation, enjoying it so far, but with many things it feels like I could be more expert at using it. That's actually what I like about Llama Life, is that it is so simple that you don't really need to be an expert at it. I feel like there's so many pieces of software that I have that problem with, where I'm like, I could be like Anki, which is my flashcard software. I'm like, I have to watch tutorials on how to use this. And it just makes you feel like this is supposed to make my life more productive. But if I have to devote time to learning how to use this effectively, is that really good? Yeah, I think the equipment is going to get destroyed if you keep encouraging the cat here. This cat is not doing this entirely of her own volition, I want to let you know. I also have a tail across my paper now. Oh, real helpful. Thanks, Dora. Look at this overhead view of this tail situation. It's a new bookmark. Very fancy bookmark. But yeah, I feel like llama life is just so simple. You don't really... I feel like it's just an excuse we tell ourselves, right? Is like, oh, I'm not using it well. But it's like, really, the main way to use llama life well is to actually just use it. That's the problem I run into, is that if I'm not at my computer, I won't open llama life. And it has to be like part of my routine. And sometimes I refuse to start the timer, because then I'd have to work on the thing, because I would feel sad about it. Oh yeah, we do have a floof of the day and floof of the week, and Dora is just taking over as floof of the month, floof of the everything. Just getting cat hair all over my planner. Skating class. Okay. Oh right, there's no skate school. This is like a perfect example of like why you should have backup plans. But the skate school that I go to usually sends out a thing. They raise the price at like midnight on, the Saturday or whatever before the new session starts. And it's only like $18 more out of like $128 or something. So it's not like outrageous, but it's enough that I try to always make sure I sign up before that deadline. So I didn't get the email saying, hey, at midnight tonight, the price goes up. And I was like, I went to the rink and they were like, oh yeah, it went up on Saturday. And I was like, oh, I didn't get the email. And they were like, oh, that's because the rink manager died and he was the one that had access to the constant contact. So Don, who had been the rink manager at the rink I skated at for years and years and years, almost 20 years, I think, he passed away from COVID a couple weeks ago, and they just nobody has the password to send the emails out to the skate school students. And this is exactly why you should make sure that you have backup plans. Yeah. Tomas says, I wish calendar apps had number of days to any particular date, so when I look at an event in May, I can immediately tell it's 150 days away. Oh my God, I Google how many days away things are all the time. I will say the one thing that I like, so I use TripIt app, which I got on recommendation from Aaron, and TripIt lets you forward all of your trip plans into one place, and it does a good job of letting you know if flights have changed and stuff. But what I love about it is it shows you how many days away trips are, and I find them extremely helpful. But I do that all the time where I'm like, how many days do I actually have? Yes, it is really sad. And the cost of Don dying was that I had to pay $18 more for my skate school. That's a terrible thing to say. He was a really, really nice guy, and I'm very sad that he passed away from COVID. It was kind of unexpected, too. So Tomas says, constantly checks days until. Eventually, I found a WordPress plugin and put a bunch of goals on my blog. Ooh, I like that. I like the incremental progress styles more than the days until. So, the thing that I showed you earlier was that dashboard that I have. I lost my computer. I don't know where I put it. The dashboard that I have actually does it based on the percentage of the year that I'm at. So those are for my annual goals. But I know a lot of people do quarterly goals and stuff like that. And for me, I do, the percentage of the year, the way of the year through is not. So this is the way I calculate the percentage of the way through the year that I am too. Okay, hold on. Let me screen mirror this. So I have this totally janky calculation that I do for percentage of the year. Let's see if I can make this way bigger. Okay, so I do the today percentage of the year, and I do this calculation where it essentially divides today's date, it turns it into a day of the year, and then it does it divided by 365. So obviously it's we're almost done with this year, so we're at 96.71. And then I use that to figure out if I'm on track or not on track for a goal. So like this one is if this goal times the percentage of the way through the year we are is greater than or equal to, it'll check as a great one. So yeah. Dean says, I think the time and date website has a days between calculator too. Yeah, there's a lot of like online calculators for it, but it's really annoying when you just like want it in front of you, I feel like. I also use, because I don't like to really memorize it, but I like to just know, I have this app called Quit That. I don't know if you can see it. Okay. So all it does is it shows you how many days it's been since you've quit something. So for me, it's been 1,845 days since I quit drinking. And I really like it. It's super simple. Just because I don't memorize or keep track of that, but I like to know. Occasionally I like to know. It also shows you how much money you've saved because it's meant for quitting things. So based on how much I spent prior to quitting drinking on alcohol, I have saved $3,876 since I quit drinking. The cat has brought in a sparkly ball. I thought I would update you all to know, and she just meowed and looked at me. She's very cute. This has been a very Dora-centric stream. I'm trying to figure out when my... Okay. When is the lessons? February 26th. Okay, so they start on January 9th. So, skating class. Skating class. So it's a 7-week session, so I can put that in there for now. And I think there's only like one other thing I want to put in here, which was for now, because that's mostly passive tracking for me. And I think we can look at Flu for the Week and then be done, because we've been streaming for a long time now. But the one other thing I wanted to put in was the dates for adult nationals. I don't think I'm going to go compete at it, but I kind of just want to know off the top of my head. April 6th through... Yeah, I'm not going to do that, but I'll put it in here just so I know. So Adult Figure Skating Nationals is April 6th through 9th. Adult Nationals, which are in Delaware this year. All right, well, that gives you, I'm going to put all of these cute little holidays in here later. But this is that's the gist. That's my planning for 2022. I'm going to add a couple things I'm going to add. I'm going to do more reference pages for my big trip in here. And I am going to put I'm going to use this timetable page to actually put down the skating freestyle times available at the rink that I go to. And then this graph paper is where I'm going to track my net worth. And I think I might use I might do net worth and YouTube subscribers, which is a good reminder that I have a giveaway going on. I'm giving away a copy of A Cat's Guide to Money. This is upside down. A Cat's Guide to Money, which is my super cute book using cats, everything you need to know to handle your money, plan for retirement, and a copy of the Midori day-length diary. This is actually totally sold out in the US, and I'll include some cat stickers. So If you are interested in this planner, I have a link down below in the description. I think Erin might drop it in the chat as well. For the giveaway, we are going to do the giveaway on the stream next week. So make sure you enter it by then. And if you aren't in the US, you can still give it away to a friend in the US. I will ship it out to your friend in the US. I will not ship it outside the US because you'd probably end up having to pay a bunch of VAT. It's just wouldn't add, not to mention all the shipping. So the deadline says 11/26. Did you mean 12/26? Yeah, it's 12/26. I don't know who did that. Unless I wrote it down in the description, but it's 12/26. It's next week on the stream. This is why we need planners, y'all. K Mike M says this was great. Now I have so much planning to do. Should I do Floof of the Week before we leave, or do we think that we should save the Floof of the Week when Dora had not completely dominated the stream? I feel like Dora was our Floof of the Week for now. And then we'll bring back the lovely Floof of the Week from Be Queer Make Stuff next week. Anybody that's in chat is a subscriber because we turned on that subscriber only mode this week. But if you are not subscribed and you're listening in on this, please subscribe. This channel turns 15 on Saturday, and I would love to hit 1,000 subscribers before it turns 15. This is just like a personal, like, I would just feel accomplished. I know that it's just Google. It's just a Google. Yeah, I know I shouldn't feel as accomplished, but I would feel accomplished. So, help me out here. The Journaling Broom says yes, Floof. I think next week we will do the Floof. I feel like we had plenty of Floof content this week. So if you are a patron, a Personal Finance Society member, which are patrons that support us on patreon.com, link is down below, and you haven't submitted your Floof to be Floof of the Week, please do, because my Floof well is running dry. So, okay. Thank you all for coming to join. This has been a long stream. My voice is getting tired. And I think I'm excited about my planner. But now I'm kind of nervous. I've added so much stuff to it already. All right. We will see you all same time, same place next week. My channel is going to be 15 years old when you next see it for the live stream next week. So I also have a trick up my sleeve for hopefully hitting 1,000 subscribers. So Lil Divette says, wow, congrats on your YouTube anniversary. Thank you. I've accomplished so much on my 15 years in YouTube. It's okay. I have a documentary I made, I think the same year that I made the YouTube account, that I wasn't able to post on YouTube back then because they didn't allow you to post videos over 10 minutes. And we managed to dig it up. I got a bunch of help, and I'm going to do reaction video to it. It is a documentary on intentional communities and hippie communes. So I'm going to do reaction to it probably when I hit 1,000 subscribers. So if that's motivating. Yeah. All right. Cheers. I will see you all next week. Stay safe. Drink some water. Stay away from Omicron. That was the sound of the cat trying to end the stream. All right. Cheers. Bye.